Give me a second. Eating a banana. Like, energy. Okay. Oh God, no. Emergency meeting, emergency meeting. Welcome to the meeting. Welcome to the emergency meeting, everyone. So I haven't talked about balance in quite a while, but surprisingly today, I mean, we already got somewhat of a balance patch a couple weeks back. So I was kind of like expecting there to be a longer stretch, but surprisingly, fortunately, they have provided another set of balance patch. Or not a huge one, but balanced nonetheless. And I hope to see more reoccurring, smaller incremental changes leading up to the expansion. But today we have some things to talk about in terms of the balance of specific skills and a discussion from one of the developers about PvP amulets and the playstyle of PvP in a broad sense right now. So without further ado, let's go through the changes, give my discussion, and we'll see. So everyone, we are here on the official Guild Wars 2 forums. I'm going to skip the world polish and just dive straight into the profession skills, as this is a balance-oriented video. Engineer, throw mine, increase cooldown from 15 seconds to 30 seconds in world versus world only. I don't know. I don't play engineer. Guardian, my main. And oh my Dwayna, it has been so strong. And I'm very excited about these changes. First and foremost, stand your ground. Increase cooldown from 45 seconds to 60 seconds in PvP only. I don't see a lot of people taking stand your ground. At least I don't. They might, actually. It's stability and retail, I believe, but, you know, a longer cooldown, that's okay, you know. I don't know how I feel about this. Pure of Heart, a trait in Honor. Reduced healing scaling from 0.3 to 0.15 in PvP only. Reduced healing. Virtue of Resolve, reduce the healing scaling from 1.4 to 1 in PvP only. Reduced healing. Shield of Judgment, reduce protection duration from 4 seconds to 2 seconds in PvP only. I really like this change, actually. I think Shield of Judgment would be just fine granting Aegis. Aegis, it's only a one-time thing. So I wonder if balance would actually be better if they swapped the philosophy with the two boons. Instead of protection lasting 2 seconds, Aegis lasts 2 seconds while protection lasts the 4 seconds. Because you would need to get like a lot of damage off and a lot of multiple strikes to get use out of any of the 2-second protection. But overall, reduced boon time, I like it. It kind of evens out the playing field a little bit, makes boons a little bit more valuable when you have them. Permeating Wrath, reduced burning duration from 4 seconds to 2 seconds in PvP only. We're getting into the changes that I would have loved to see earlier, but they're here. Eternal Armory, this is the spirit weapon one. Reduced burning duration from 4 seconds to 2 seconds in PvP only. And then Sword of Justice, reduced ammunition count from 3 to 2 in PvP only. Like that. And the increased cooldown between the skill uses from 1 second to 5 seconds in PvP only. Yes, I think that these, as minor changes as they may be, and I would have liked to see other small tweaks here and there with other skills, particularly burning skills. This is a nice change, and I guess I would err on the side of caution with reducing damage output, conditioned damage output with certain classes, just to make sure that they aren't completely destroyed. However, as you might have caught on, they are trying to reduce some of the burning application, and I'm all for that. Good changes. Necromancer, Flesh of the Master, reduced minion health bonus from 50% to 25% in PvP only. I don't know how I feel about this. I like minions as a build idea, but I guess this is okay for PvP. You know, they are AI based, so. And then Death Nova got hit again. Reduced power coefficient from 0.6 to 0.45 in PvP only. I think this is nice because it is a passive skill. You don't want it hitting too hard, but it also is a function of the Grandmaster. But I guess the other function of the trait is to summon more minions when you get kills. So it's kind of a toss-up on which part of the trait wants to be bigger or more impactful. In all honesty, they could probably get rid of the Death Nova application on that trait, put it into another trait somewhere else in the line or in some other specialization, and make the Summoning Grandmaster trait for Death Magic more powerful. Revenant Charge Mists reduce the energy gain from 25 to 10 in PvP only. I guess it's okay. I still think the energy mechanic with Revenant, it's hard sometimes to quickly gain energy, but it's super easy to spend a lot of energy with one button press, and it kind of leaves you stranded, especially because a lot of the weapon skills also cost energy. Phase Traversal, increase cooldown from 5 seconds to 12 seconds in PvP only. Cool, like it. Surge of the Mists, increase cooldown from to 25 seconds, like it. Infuse Light, reduce the duration to 2 seconds. I like this change a lot because Infuse Light is an extremely strong healing ability, especially with the 3-second duration, because it gives you a lot of breathing room to receive damage. I think 2 is a good spot. Energy Expulsion, reduce the knockback distance from 450 to 100. I like that. Blinding Truths, put a cooldown on it to 10 seconds in PvP only. Ventari Tablet. I don't know if I've seen a lot of Ventari Tablet going on, but taking Blinding Truths with Ventari Tablet, you get a lot of blind out, which mitigates a lot of damage. Because blind, you miss an attack. It's not a chance to miss an attack, you just miss an attack. So those are the changes. Now I want to jump over to a blog post to kind of see a little bit more about the reasoning behind it from the developers and give my reactions to it, and a larger general balance change, PvP change that they might be playing with. So if you are watching this video relatively soon after I post it, you can find this post by Cal Cohen in the Internet Developer Spotlight thing. They say, "Hi everyone. Today's update included a handful of PvP balance changes as we wanted to share some context behind the decisions we've made to Guardian, Necromancer, and Revenant professions. At the very end of this post, we'll also talk about areas we're investigating for future updates." So they continue to go on with Condition Guardian variants. They touch on Dragon Hunter, and they also hint that Eternal Armory in particular is a trait that we are reevaluating for a game-wide functional change to better normalize the burning potential of all spirit weapons. But until then, they're going with this change. Spirit weapons are always interesting. We're missing an elite spirit weapon, and we're also missing a healing spirit weapon. I don't know how effective, I don't know. I think Sword of Justice is really the only useful spirit weapon for most of the game, while Bow of Truth is nice in a healing and support build. They go to discuss Minion Changes about the AI heavy builds. They don't want it to be the staple, but that kind of hurts my feelings because I would love an elite spec where you utilize minions, but perhaps not in the method of they are permanently up. I would like to see basically you conjure spells, but instead of firing a fireball to deal damage, you summon a little explosive minion that goes in and charges and etc, etc. And then we get to Ventari Revenant, where they talk about the knockback, healing and blind truths, all pretty great. Sheer Renegade, some of the damage and energy has been increased. The damage decreased, damage potential decreased, and energy increased. Same with Power Herald. And then we get to the section of looking ahead, and I'm just going to read this. The thing most notably missing from today's update is Scourge, which is interesting. When today's changes were being finalized internally, Mender Scourge was starting to show some strong results in automated tournaments, but it wasn't too widely played yet. There was some consideration to whether it was warranted early adjustments, but we usually like to gather more data, including reviewing future win rate statistics and observing gameplay before acting. Ultimately, we decided against rushing anything in for today. Given what we've seen since then, it's something that we want to address sooner rather than later, and we're currently looking into some adjustments for the next release. Something else that we've been evaluating is the State of Mender Amulet. Now brace yourselves. Support players. We like to fight! I'm just kidding. But it's a conversation that is vital to any gameplay, support, healing, the pace of the game. And I'm a support player. I'm a really big support main, so I was a little sad to read this, but let's continue. The general pace of the game right now is slower than we like to see. Mender plays a big part in this, both through the strength of the bulkier support builds that have been meta recently, as well as the more sustain-oriented side node builds that tend to stalemate fights. The other main component of combat pacing is the amount of damage available. Looking back at something like pre-nerf Grenade Hollowsmith from all problems it had, it was very good at pushing damage and combating bunkier play. Though extremely easy at basically wiping out someone in 2 seconds. To that end, we're looking at removing Mender and Martial amulets and adding an improved version of Sigil of Transference, increasing outgoing healing, to make up some of the healing loss for support builds. This would also include a few adjustments for healing sources that are most heavily impacted by this shift. Notably among those are Selfless Daring and Elemental Bastion, as well as Call of Valor. Overall, some sources would heal allies for a bit more, and some would heal for a bit less than they do with Mender, but the self-healing of support builds would be lower. I think that's cool. I think it's cool lowering self-sustain and, relying on other supportive aspects from your teammates. Side node builds that currently play Mender would be also pushed into Avatar Amulet, hopefully resulting in fewer stalemates and increased kill potential. We still want to dedicate support builds to be a viable choice, and we'd be keeping a close eye on the impact. But we think that given the current state of the game, Mender creates more problems than it solves, and it's worth looking at. First and foremost, I want to talk about this point right here. The game right now is slower than we'd like to see. Controversial yet brave opinion, I want the game to be a little bit slower. But I also think that me saying that stems from irritation with extremely powerful builds, such as Burn Guardian, where you can die in quite literally 2 to 3 seconds. And in such an intense game as Guild Wars 2, where you're fighting sometimes multiple people at once, even if you're on a quite tanky build with vitality and toughness and you have defensive skills and spells, it's really difficult to sometimes go up against these certain builds where it feels like you're dying in 2 seconds, you're getting immobilized for 10 seconds by a ranger, you're getting interrupt and stun locked by a warrior, and then you're just getting burst down by a Hollowsmith or some Weaver or a Burn Guardian. And to that end, it doesn't make the gaming experience feel great. So I think that's why my beliefs of wanting a slower paced game stem from those things. Because while I don't want the game to go as slow as a snail on ketamine, I want slow as a snail on ketamine. I feel like I need to psychoanalytically dissect what I just said. But overall, I do think that reaction times are important and vital. I think the one profession that could get away with this philosophical idea is Thief. Thieves are very squishy. It's in their profession lore and influence of being very fast, striking quick and hard, and then getting out while being very susceptible to damage. The other classes, I would like them the power, especially the very strong builds, to be reduced, not dramatically, but still come in line where you can react to them. So I don't know if I want the game to speed up in that sense either, considering they are lowering a lot of support builds. I don't want them to start increasing power builds and condition builds, particularly condition, because something like physical flat damage, you can dodge, you can line of sight. The thing with conditions is that once they're on you, and you might only have one ability or one trait that can really deal with conditions. And the thing with condition removal is sometimes they don't remove the most agitating condition that you're currently experiencing. So you might have burning, but that's not doing the most damage. You actually have a lot of poison on you that's doing a lot of damage and preventing you from getting a heal off to make you survive. Or you're suffering from like 25 stacks of vulnerability, and then you're also getting ganked by a power. There's so many things with conditions that you have to think about, and it requires a high level of play and caution. But the thing, once they're on you, you can't do much about them once you use those abilities to try to clear as many as you can. So it's a very fine balance of how many conditions are being allowed to be applied, their duration, and how many Condi clear abilities one has access to. Next, talking about the support in general. I'm a support main, and it hurts. I love Mender's Amulet, and I sometimes play a support guardian, And while I might not be an expert by any means, I'm not like doing tournaments every day, I'm not grinding my experience or skills. I was like a platinum guardian support player and firebrand, and through all the nerfs in and of themselves, I've felt very squishy, even playing on menders and taking sigils to improve my toughness or vitality and healing power. You can still feel extremely squishy when facing off against people in PvP. Now, in the topic of reducing the healing power so you don't heal yourself as much, I would like that because that also plays into barrier, and that also plays into other damage builds that might utilize Mender's Amulet, like Weaver to bolster their barrier or to get stronger regen procs on themselves, etc., etc. So if they find a way to, for support builds, to feel a bit squishy themselves, but increase their healing potential on their allies, I would really much enjoy that. Because right now, as it stands, it's fairly easy to pinpoint who is the support player. And most of the time, if your team is halfway decent and communicating, they will target that support player and just instantly strike them out. So it becomes this weird, like, the healing I'm doing to other people isn't necessarily feeling impactful on my end to sustain them, and I can't even sustain myself. So I like the idea of not being able to sustain themselves too much, but finding their healing on other people to be very much palpable and impactful while using those stronger healing abilities. I hope that made sense. TLDR, squishy me, healy other people, feel good. Slightly longer fights to sustain them in that way, right? It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno. But overall, I'm possibly sad to see Mender's Amulet go, but I do like this concept of like almost like turning a guardian into a priest. But with that, I would like certain healing abilities to feel stronger while also maintaining a lengthy cooldown, so it's strategic and you can really feel like you're saving a fight. So everyone, those are the balance changes, and that's the look ahead at what could happen to support builds. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. And yeah, if you're gonna be playing a tanky build, you need to take toughness and vitality, not necessarily healing power. Save those for the supports to heal you and other people. Like the video if you'd like to comment below your thoughts. I have a Patreon if you'd like to support me. You get early access and special videos and possible game time. But I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm gonna go get some Omicron marks. Bye everyone.